When the Camera Clicks, the last short film in our one film a month summer challenge. And this is the behind the scenes video for it. So it was one of the hardest and easiest films to make in this 3 shorts in 3 months summer challenge. And it was hardest to make, like the hardest part of making it was writing, and the easiest part was actually being on set and filming it. So let's start with writing it. This was the last short film in a summer. We were completely drained because we were coming up with ideas left, right and center to try to make the best short films during the summer. And I have to say, White Trail was fantastic. And we wanted to one-up the White Trail, so White Trail was really good. We wanted When the Camera Clicks to be amazing. So we were completely stressed out into making something that is ideally better to White Trail. So the pressure was on. We were completely out of ideas. We had, again, way too broad a field of view. As I've said in the video on how to write and make your first short film, we were having like too many options, too many locations, too many ideas, and we wanted to stay away from horror genre since Bruno and I are big fans of horror, so it was super easy and horror ideas were coming like this. We wanted to challenge ourselves even more to make something that is not horror related. So I know When the Camera Clicks could be a horror, but I think it's more of a thriller rather than a complete horror genre because there is no like blood killing, monsters or anything of that sort. It's more of a implied thing rather than just pure horror, and it's not really no jump scares or anything like that. So I'm gonna put it somewhere in a psychological thriller. So I'm gonna put it somewhere in a psychological thriller basket rather than just pure horror. So we were just sitting here throwing ideas back and forth, and then eventually we were like, okay, sure, let's go in the order. Let's pick a location. So we thought that the location would be great. We have like a river going next to our city, so we were like, okay, sure, a riverbank, you know, people are gonna hang out on the beach, maybe a couple of friends, and you know, the ideas just starting rolling off of another, and literally it was 3 of us. It was a combined effort because Nina said something, then I said something, then Bruno said something, and literally everything you have is now When the Camera Clicks, the combination of all of our ideas. Regarding the production, this was one of the easiest and the cheapest shorts, not one of the, it was the easiest and the cheapest short from this 3 shorts in 3 months challenge. It was completely like super simple to make. Super simple. It was the simplest to make from all the 3 that we did this summer, and I think it was the cheapest as well because we didn't have to do a lot of props. You know, for the White Trail we had to do cocaine, we had to do sheriff, we had to do the badge, the outfits, the gun, the smoke. The stickers for the sheriff's car were also kind of expensive, and you know, the costs added up a bit, especially because we shot 2 days, so we had to cover, you know, the lunch and food for the crew and the caffeine since we shot 2 nights in a row, yada yada yada. For Fragments of Her, it was also pretty expensive to do the set design because we had to do all the stickers that were graffiti, and a lot more things also went into it. This one was the cheapest because the only thing we actually had to do was get the bottles, which in the end we didn't end up using. So like they were on set, but they were pretty much useless besides the like 8 of them which were in frame and they were carrying them. And we actually had to get those pictures that they were looking at. And that was, I'm pretty sure, it regarding the just set design and props and production and everything else. So all of the money went into that, and that's it. And also we had some snacks and drinks on set for the crew, but that's it. One of the things that we had to do, which we didn't have to do in any of those movies before, was to take the pictures that are in the film. And we needed one picture that was in 1920s, we needed one picture that was in 1980s, and I think one 2000s and one from 2015, something like that. So we had to get a lot of people that are not actually acting in the film to gather around and get the clothes that are appropriate for the time and to take the pictures on the same beach. That was actually pretty simple. We did that in 2 days. The first day we took the pictures from 80s and 20s, and then the second day we took the picture from 2000s, and you cannot see the picture from 2015 from the front, so that was just some random picture I took like in Austria, I think, and that just printed out because it didn't matter what the picture was, it just needed to be physically printed and aged to look that it's somewhere around 2015. And for the pictures you might actually see in the 80s it was me and Bruno as well, you can recognize him, and in the 20s it was also Bruno, so you can recognize him. And all of the other people on the picture were just friends and, you know, people who can help out and were willing to just, you know, hop in, take a picture and leave, because we really did not want to use actors that are in the film to be on those photos, because we didn't want to, you know, accidentally use Nina on the picture from 1920s and then for, you know, somebody to recognize her and be like, hold up, wait, she's from 1920, why is she here? And, you know, it would completely mess with the story and not be the point of the story. So that was kind of more complicated thing, because we had to actually get a lot more people to take those pictures and then some more people to actually act in the film, but it was fine, it was okay. When it was like 2 days before we actually had to shoot the pictures and then shoot the film, I actually went to location scouting and to see the riverbank, and it was super heavy rainfall a few days before, and the riverbank was completely submerged. So there was no like shore, there was no, I think it was like with the Pebbles beach, there was no beach, it was just, you know, trees, and everything was crashed and flooded and everything. So I was like, okay, we need a new location, because this is not gonna work, because that is, you know, just a beach that's super unreliable. Because okay, sure, let's say we reschedule taking the pictures when the water level drops, okay, sure, we can take the pictures, but then nobody will guarantee us that it's not gonna rain right before we actually need to film the film, and then everything is gonna be flooded. So I kind of figured that the smartest thing would be to completely change the location. So we started brainstorming where can the location be that's not on that specific riverbank, and then actually great thing popped into our mind, which is to use just the lake that's like super near us, and it's one of the most famous lakes in Zagreb. It's called Jarun, and it's more like commercial looking lake with, you know, nice beaches and actually made to look touristy and appealing. And we did not kind of want that for the short, because we did not want the beach in the short to look like it's super used and known by a lot of people. We wanted to like make it feel kind of private. But actually we managed to find exactly the thing we needed on Jarun. So we just went to one of the lesser known beaches. It's not even a beach, it's just kind of a shoreline that's not even made to be like a beach where you can, you know, go and swim. So that worked out also perfectly. I found that with the drone when I was just counting it with the drone. And then we went on it to take pictures the first day, and we completely fell in love with the location, because I think it turned out really great, and it had all of the elements that we needed for the story. So it had, you know, kind of the beach moment, you can see the shore, the water was actually really nicely colored, it wasn't too like public, so there was not a lot of people walking around, and there wasn't anybody walking around, and there was the bush area where our main actress and the other guy went to, you know, kind of make out and have fun and find a shit ton of water bottles. So it had everything, so we were like, okay, definitely we're filming right here. And pretty much the rest of it was pretty uneventful. Like that was probably the only hard bump that we, you know, like encountered, the having to change the location from the original one. But that's it. We took the pictures and then we scheduled the shooting day. It was like, okay, it's gonna be this day. That's it. And pretty much the day just came. Everyone was there on time. We started shooting the scenes of two of them in the bushes, so the other actors can come later when we're done filming that part. So there was just two of them, and we shot those scenes great. And I'm also super happy that we shot those scenes first, because there was a great reflection of the water, and you can see the water caustics effect on them, and I think that looks super sweet. Because later in the day, if we were to shoot that later in the day, there was no water caustics, because that was like super early. I think we started shooting at around 8 or 9 in the morning, and the sun did just the perfect reflection and gave them that golden water caustics effects on them, which I think makes it look 10 times better. And also that's the shot where they like see the huge pile of bottles. And I actually went shopping, and I actually called Nina on FaceTime in the middle of the store, and I was like contemplating with her, is this bottle better or is this bottle better, like the types of bottles that they're gonna have in the story. So we decided on one certain type of bottle that you can see actually in the short, and I bought I think 16 of them, because I was like, okay, sure, let's do it half practical and then just fill in the rest in post, because I wanted it to be like mostly practical, like bunch of bottles in the frame. And then when the shooting day came, and I just literally put all of the 16 bottles on like the dirt in front of them, so they can be like, whoa, there's so many bottles here. The shot was basically just completely done in post. I added the bottles afterwards, because in the original shot, even though there is 16 actual bottles there that I aged and painted and, you know, made to look really good, you cannot see any of them. So that was kind of sucked, because in the end we didn't have to buy 16 bottles, we just needed to buy the bottles that are gonna be on screen, so in their hands. But yeah, sure, I mean, it worked out in the end, so that's great. But if we knew that before, we wouldn't just have to buy 16 bottles, and I wouldn't have to spend like 5 hours of my life sanding them all down and making them look super old because they were not even visible in the frame. You live and you learn, I guess. And then the rest of the crew showed up, so the rest of the actors, and we just started, you know, rolling with it, shooting, and you know, they had a great atmosphere. They started talking to each other, having fun, laughing. And that was great, because in the story we needed them to be friends and, you know, to like kind of play off of each other, which was great because the chemistry between them and the vibes were amazing, because they just instantly clicked. So that was great, because the actors knew each other pretty well, and you know, it just looked like a really great cohesive group, and I think it played off really well and looked really natural. So we were just pretty much having fun, and we were on schedule and before schedule, and you know, taking shots off really well. At first we were a bit late because we started kind of late. We didn't start late, but you know, it kind of took a while to get all the equipment to the remote beach. But after that we started taking off shots super fast, and it started going really fast because there wasn't a lot of like light prep to do. In White Trail there was a lot of light because we were shooting at night, so I basically had to light the entire forest for it to look good. And for this, it was just, you know, giving them some shadow, maybe some negative fill, and kind of turning them so they're not like straight in front of the sun, and, you know, doing some diffusion, stuff like that that makes it look good. But it doesn't take as much time as, you know, completely setting up the lights, because even if I wanted to do some additional lights, I don't have lights that are strong enough to support and fight the sun. But I think it still looks super fantastic, especially with the color grade and the edit afterwards. I think it turned out great, especially with those negative fill and highlights, and I think it looks really kind of dreamy and vibey, and I think it turns out really good. So the end of the day came, we were done super early. I think we finished maybe like 2, 3 or even 4 hours before schedule, so we just like stayed there to chill, talk, and you know, pick the equipment up, and the guys helped me, you know, put equipment away, and it was pretty fucking fantastic shoot. Like, White Trail was chaotic because everything went wrong. Fragments of Her was super chaotic because there was a lot of things to do with the apartment, and we had to change locations a few times, and I had to set dress the location for, like, you know, different times. So Christmas, like a dinner party, or watching the film, and, you know, different situations that are happening in different points in time. But this was super simple because it was pretty much happening at one time on one location, and that was really great. That was about it for the filming. Like, it's super uneventful and boring to talk about it because it was just great and super easy. But if you're curious for more in-depth gear, you can check out the behind the scenes for Fragments of Her, because there I talk more in-depth about the gear and how I used it to shoot everything pretty much. So it's pretty similar to this video as well. That will be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you saw when the camera clicks. If not, it's gonna be somewhere there. Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.